Welcome to manifesting your dreams and manifesting anything that you want, anyone that you want, and having all that you want, and being the person that you truly are. In this first episode, I want to talk about how I manifested my car. I drive a Lexus, and what I did to get this Lexus and how I almost had a Mercedes. For a couple years, I toyed around with wanting to buy a second Lexus and paid off my first Lexus SUV and researched a sedan. Well, one day I decided to call up my local Toyota dealership because I know that Toyota and Lexus are predominantly the same vehicles. So I called them up and I said, I'd like to come in and look at your database of Lexus cars. And the woman that answered the phone, she said, absolutely, you can come in. We have X amount of dealerships that we can choose from. Come on in. Would you like to come on in tonight? I said, absolutely. So I'm going in with the premise of looking into the database. Well, she matched me up with a salesman that had fairly been new on the job. So I said to him, I'm already a Lexus owner and I want to buy another Lexus and I would like to look in your database. He sits me down at his desk and the short of the story is he ended up barely looking through the database, and I had asked, okay, well, let me see this model. He says, well, that model is in our other location and we probably won't get it until Tuesday. And here it was Friday. I said, that's no problem. I will wait because I'm just looking. I really want a Lexus. And so I said, can you print the stats on this vehicle? And so he gets up and he goes down the walkway towards what I thought was a printer somewhere in the vicinity, comes back without paper. Because I'm a visual person, I like to see things on paper, and I just wanted to just see the stats of this particular car. Again, I'm willing to wait until Tuesday or whenever it can come to the store. Again, I'm just there looking. Well, he comes back, like I said, with no paper in hand, no printout, no stats of any sort, and hands me a key. He said, my manager stopped me and said to show you this. And it was a Mercedes key. And he says, we have it right here. You won't have to wait for your car. We have it right here on the lot. So I'm a little nervous, a little upset, but I'm willing to go out there and look. He tells me that it was owned by one owner, little old lady, the whole spiel that, car salesmen like to give, that it would only had one owner, and she was this little old lady, and she treated it so well, she just decided to trade in. So I go out and I look at this car, and it's an ES 350 Mercedes. I get in, and it's beautiful. It has all the bling bling, and I snap photos. The one thing I did not like, it had the gear shift on the steering column, and I didn't like having to start my car and shift gears in the same spot. So I was just like, I don't know. And it turned out it was within my price range, but I still wasn't feeling it. I still was not feeling it because I am a Lexus owner. I assumed the position of being a Lexus owner. I had owned one before. I wanted what I wanted. And so I go in, and he talks me into getting this vehicle. I signed paperwork. I decide to even test drive it. Well, it had started to rain when we came out to the vehicle again. And I said, I don't feel comfortable driving this vehicle. It's raining. He said, well, you can't drive it anyway off the lot because it has not been checked by our shop department. We just got it in today, and it hasn't cleared any of our inspections, so you cannot drive it off the lot anyway. So I felt comfortable not having to drive it off the lot. So I drove it around the lot, enjoyed the drive. It was a beautiful car, no doubt. But I still just wanted my Lexus. I really did. Deep down inside, in my subconscious, I am a Lexus driver. I'm a Lexus owner, Lexus driver. That's what I wanted. So I came back in, signed all this paperwork, just signed it. And they shut down the dealership. It was closing time. I was the only one in there, and the salesman was like, we're going to have this cleaned up for you. We're going to have it checked. I will call you noon tomorrow, Saturday, and you can come and pick the vehicle up. So I leave the dealership. I get home. I don't feel good. I don't feel good because I didn't want a Mercedes. No qualms about a Mercedes. The only reason why I wanted to stick with Lexus is because Lexus is a luxury car, just like the Mercedes, just like the BMW. I'd owned one before, and I had all the bells and whistles of a luxury vehicle, but I just did not have to pay that Mercedes price up front or for any kind of maintenance or upkeep. Toyota, to me, is a lot cheaper. So that's why I wanted to stick with Toyota, or in this situation, Lexus, because I would get my luxury vehicle, but when it came to maintenance and upkeep, I didn't have to pay that luxury price that I would have had to pay with Mercedes. So, did not sleep well that night. I had asked my son, who was with me at the dealership, several times that night, are you sure I should get this? And he was like, yes, Mom, it's in your price range. It's a nice car, and that's what you want. You want something in your price range. I was not taking that as final because I assumed, and at the time, I didn't know anything about manifesting. I didn't know about the law of assumption. I assumed that I was a Lexus owner. I was in the state of a Lexus owner, and no one could tell me any different. And I just did not feel right. And so the next afternoon, I got a phone call from the Lexus dealer that I had been talking to for many months about getting a Lexus. And he had said to me over the phone, he said, "Hi, Kim, I hadn't heard from you. And I was just wondering how you were doing in your shopping for a new vehicle." And I said, "Well, last night, I think I bought a Mercedes." And he goes, "Congratulations." And I said, No, I wanted a Lexus." And he said, "Well, I wanted to sell you a Lexus." And I go in to tell him the story, and he said, "Wait a minute, you didn't drive that vehicle off the lot?" I said, "No." I said, "Because it was raining." And then the salesman told me that it had to be checked by a service guy there at the dealership. So I did not drive it off the lot. He said, "You call them back and you tell them that it's a no sale. Because you did not drive it off the lot, they did not sell you that vehicle." He said, "I don't care how long you were in the dealership," because I went on to tell him, "Well, I signed all this paperwork. They shut down the store, and I signed all this paperwork." He said, "I don't care." He said, "It's a no sale. It's a no deal. You call them back. You tell them you don't want it." So I hung up the phone with him. And at the end of our conversation, he said, "And I will be here until 6 o'clock. And I will sell you that Lexus that you want." So I hung up the phone with the Lexus salesman and called up the Toyota dealership in my town. And I said, "I do not want that vehicle. I feel like I was talked into a vehicle that I just don't want. And I want to buy a Lexus. And I am headed to the Lexus dealership in Raleigh, North Carolina right now to buy a Lexus. And I'm sorry, but it's a no sale. And I don't want any bad feelings, because I want to be able to bring my Lexus to the local Toyota dealership there for service." And the manager said, "We want to continue to do business with you, and I apologize that we couldn't sell you your car, but we look forward to servicing your new Lexus." So I then went to the dealership in Raleigh, North Carolina, where I live here, and I looked at my new Lexus. I sat in my Lexus. I didn't fill out paperwork right then and there, but I negotiated my price and did not have to put down a deposit. And that was one thing that I was adamant about. I was going to walk away without having to put down any kind of down payment or deposit, and walk away with my Lexus. And I ended up doing that. And I ended up getting the exact vehicle that I thought I'd purchased with Toyota the night before. My vehicle that I now own and still own is a Lexus ES350, which is the exact vehicle, exact color of the vehicle that I had signed paperwork for. The Mercedes that I signed paperwork for the night before was an ES350. Same color, same everything. So that is the bridge of events that led me to my vehicle that I now drive. How I manifested my Lexus, and all the people that were me pushed out. And if you all are familiar with Neville Goddard and the law of assumption and manifesting, then you know Everyone is us pushed out. So that desire to be a Lexus owner, I focused on, I thought of, I called the dealership, spoke to that first person who led me to that salesperson who ended up not getting me connected with my Lexus, but ended up putting me on the mind of the Lexus salesman that I had been dealing with a few months prior. He was moved to call me and to tell me that it was a no sale because I actually thought that it was going to be my vehicle, that Mercedes. So all these bridge of events that led to my manifesting of my vehicle. And if you go within, like we've all heard and we all know, go within and be the person that you are, you can manifest anything that you want. A car, money, the dream job, the dream business, the house, and the person. Go within because you will reflect out that person that you are within. And everybody around you will have to conform. So I hope you like this first episode of my podcast. I would like to have this podcast where I come on and I talk about the things that I have manifested and talk about the steps that led me up to getting those manifestations. Thank you, and this is the end. I look forward to making more episodes and sharing more things with you. Happy manifesting.